Hey, this is called versus Zerg trying mech, and I do think mech would fit your play style pretty well. You showed that you're capable of doing some good Thor pushes. You showed that you tend to do well for the first 8 minutes and then kind of suck until about 13 minutes, and then just get progressively worse as the game goes on. And that's kind of what you expect as well. That's what you said in your email is. It's easy in the beginning when you only have a couple of buildings to keep up on workers and to really, especially if you know what to build it properly and build it in the right order and all that kind of stuff. But then as the game goes on further and further, it becomes more confusing and you get a lot more money to spend, and you have to be keeping up on 7 racks production instead of 1 racks or 2 racks production. And then using large balls of troops is a lot harder than using small balls of troops. I like saying small balls. It's kind of fun. So I like that you're walling in here. You didn't wall in your last TVZ, and it really bugged me. But it looks like you're actually not going to complete the wall in, and that does bug me. Completing your wall in at your natural is super important, because even if it only wins you 1 game, it's going to literally win you that entire 1 game. And it doesn't cost anything, so do it to it. And you're supply blocked at 78. You almost always supply block at either 83 or 78. I feel like I don't know. There's something about that. Something about Mary that. At 10 minutes, you've got 48 workers. This is really good economically. You haven't done this well in most of your other games. You've only got $2,400 of army with some various tech. Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Research.
No infantry upgrades. So yeah, not huge, but not bad. This army is big enough to at least make sure that your opponent doesn't get his 3rd. I feel like you're economically ahead right now once you start dropping mules. This is an attempt to be mech. That's why you don't have any infantry upgrades. I remember from the title of the game. Now you're getting your double armories. You're getting tech lab reactor, so 2 reactors and 2 tech labs. Standard mech is 3 factory, 2 tech lab, 1 reactor, until your money piles up, and then add 2 more factories, 1 with a tech lab and 1 with a reactor. So you end up with 3 tech lab, 2 reactors eventually. Don't put add-ons on these racks. Don't use these racks, because naked Marines with no upgrades and no intention to get upgrades in the future are only good for the first 8 minutes. After that, they're crap. Because the Zerg he's going to be upgrading his units, and the further ahead he gets on upgrades, the more useless your Marines become. So adding reactors and making even more Marines is just dumping your money into trash, into things that don't help. Mech-based play is ridiculously gas-centric, and that's why I'm saying like most people get 3 tech lab factories and produce tanks and Thors off of that. Your most important and best units, your Thors and your tanks, are going to come from your gas. And you could make 1,000 Hellions, and it's not going to be very much better than 16 Hellions. So the minerals, they're not really very crucial to the build. It's all about the gas. And so what you want to do is actually take your 4 gas geysers really early and just have too much gas in the early game and start to spend into that stockpile later on. We've got 8 idle workers. This is pretty common to see from you. I think, I don't know. Get used to seeing the idle worker button and pushing it, man. Oh, excuse me. Massively oversaturated on your main. Nobody mining at your natural. That's a reaction to the mutas. That's not like a game-long systemic problem or anything. But then when you transferred guys back, you undersaturated your main, and you still got 10 idle workers. You made 2 engineering bays and 2 armories. You should never be doing that ever. You kind of either have to go mech or go bio, or if you're gonna do mech and bio mixed together, pick one to upgrade and don't upgrade the other one, because if you upgrade both, you end up spending a too large of a percentage of your budget on upgrades, and then your army is too small to matter. So like, would you rather, it was like what we talked about in an earlier game, would you rather have 2 Thors with an armor upgrade or 3 Thors with no upgrade? And the answer is 3 Thors is 50% stronger than 2 Thors, whereas the upgrade is only plus 20% against Lings and plus like 0% against Roaches. So it's almost always better to have more units and less upgrades. Unless, like there's a break-even point. Like once you have 10 Thors, one more Thor is 10%, whereas the upgrade is 20% to Lens and 0 to Roaches. So yeah, probably better have that upgrade once you have your 10th Thor. But that point tends to be around the 12 or 14 minute mark where upgrades are really useful. And a lot of people, like me especially, emphasize upgrades early, not because it's better early, but because it's better later on to have the 2-2 upgrades, you know? So I'm not getting the 1-1 upgrades because 1-1 upgrades are good. I'm getting the 1-1 upgrades because it's along the path to the 2-2 upgrades, which are good. So you got all these upgrade facilities and you didn't use them, and that's just a lot of money that just kind of wasted, just thrown away into the trash. You've still got 10 idle workers. You've been losing a lot at your front because you didn't have a wall in. I was saying before, man, you get a wall in, you're gonna win a game because of it, and go, wow, I'm glad I had a wall in. This would have been that game, man. You threw a bunch of lings at your front. If you had a wall in, they'd all just would have had heart attacks and died. Hey, Melissa. So now you've got kind of a biomech force with a ton of Marines with very little or no upgrades. What's up? That's interesting. And you've got 4 Thors, no tanks, a bunch of Hellions. You got to worry about when you go Thor. This composition is ridiculously susceptible to Roaches because +2 attack siege tanks are the only good counter to Roaches aside from mass upgrading Marines. And you're not upgrading your Marines, and you don't have any siege tanks, so you don't have anything that can fight against Roaches. So his Roaches are just kind of shreds. I feel like at the beginning of this battle, he probably even had a smaller army than you.
Base.
No, he has a slightly bigger army than you. So the title of this replay was "I was trying mech," and this is not mech. This is not how you mech. Mech means 0 racks production, means tons of siege tanks, a smattering of Thors, and about 16 Hellions. You never want to go up to 30 or 40 Hellions unless he's like massing Speedling. And even when he is massing Speedlings, those first 16 Hellions are going to kill all the Speedlings, and the additional Hellions aren't going to do anything. They're just kind of a waste. So you rip all his Speedlings to shreds because Hellions make you immune to Speedlings, and that's great. But then he's left with this tiny army. So right now, his army is... This Roach army is $2,600 of Roaches, and you've got almost a $5,300 army against a $2,600 army. You've got about double his army size. And he's just going to do pretty well. He might not win the fight, but he's going to trade ridiculously well against unupgraded Marines and Hellions on the board. And so this is just something you got to watch out for. And this is something almost all Zergs know, too, is that the counter to mech is Roaches with a tiny smattering of Lings. And so to counteract that, you just really need siege tanks, man. And you need good siege tank positioning and all that kind of stuff. So you've lost 3,000 more than he has. You've produced about as much as him, not because... I mean, you've got your third, which is unusual. You've got a $2,400 income. You kept that third alive. Like, you're doing pretty good at actually keeping your income up, which is nice. But now your main and your natural are both running dry, and you have no fourth even on the way. On this map, I like to take a planetary fortress here, keep my army here, and then add this as my fourth later on, because this is protected by the virtue of the fact that you have this watchtower. The only way he can get by is to come through here. Or, I mean, he can go all the way around, but most people don't. So generally, yeah, it's better to get this base first. Always expand towards your opponents when you can. I feel like it's already like the end game, and you're still, I don't know, you fought, you did push out, but I don't know, you didn't win. You didn't secure an advantage. So even though things still look kind of even because it's Roaches against Thors and Hellions and whatever, and you have a bigger income than him, you're making a big army. Eventually, he's just gonna make some Broodlords and Ultras, right? I hope. Maybe he's not. Alright, so again, Pure Roach is the counter to mech. Walks in with his Pure Roach army, rips them to shreds. And again, the counter to this is a lot more siege tanks. Also, it's so easy as a Zerg to make roaches. Roaches are like the easiest thing to make. Just like with Terran, if someone tells you make as many Thors as you can with no other units, it's the easiest thing in the world because Thors, they build kind of slowly, they're very expensive per thing, and they cost both minerals and gas, so you don't have to worry about balancing them with other stuff, and it's just like, that's what roaches feel like to Zerg. You just hit a button and you make as many roaches as you can. It's so easy. So doing a strategy that allows him to do a strategy that's really easy, you never want the game to be easier for your opponent. So now you're engaging roaches again, and you had siege things this time, but you didn't siege them up. You were doomed because of the Broodlords anyway. I don't think you lost because you didn't siege your tanks, but I'm disappointed that we never got a chance to see a battle where you had sieged tanks against roaches, because, yeah. You did eventually get up. I mean, it's 32 minutes into the game, and you're still not 3-3. Getting double armories seems kind of silly if you're not going to get upgrades out of them. And so I feel like you should have looked up a mech build. Like Audio Builds probably has the TVZ mech build, and done exactly the mech build that you looked up rather than just trying to wing it, because I don't think the winging of it went very well. Also, the Wallen is so important. You kept doing run-bys and just really, like, making you sad. Very sad.